I just need to be done with it. It's 1,153 pages and I'm so glad to just be done with it, but don't read it. If you've never gotten into it, don't. Sure, I could do that. Am I going to? No. And if I'm getting rid of stuff, like don't put it on the list to restock. Stephanie, that's stupid. Welcome back, witches. Today is a bit of a late May recap. So the day that I am filming this is Sunday, Father's Day, and I don't know if I'm going to post it later today or if it's going to go up tomorrow. But either way, we are well past June 1st, which is usually when I post the update for the previous month as far as like my goals and reading went. And I thought about just skipping this, but I didn't really want to skip a month because I am fully in my mid-year freak out, mid-year panic. This happens every year, and I'm definitely gonna have a video going more into that. But before we get into that mid-year panic and what is coming up this week, I did still want to recap May because I at least want to have all of the information, mainly for the two goals that I usually put in my monthly recap. So that is, of course, my no spend year, updating on my finances, and the goal to read and track 200 books. So I do have my stats here in front of me to chat about, and I will have timestamps down below. So in case you're not interested in the recap and just want to hear about what my panic is, that information will all be down there so you can skip it to whatever you would like. But first up, let's go over my quick finances for May because they're very tame. And I will tell you already that June is going to look a lot different. So for those of you that are new here, I am doing a no spend year, mainly as it relates to stuff and accumulating less stuff, but especially as it relates to witchcraft items and books, because those were a problem for me last year. And I'm in a place with my witchcraft practice where I want to figure out what I'm actually using and enjoying and would want to keep purchasing and having in my collection and what is not really serving a purpose anymore. And I can't really figure that out without stopping the influx and stopping the spending. So that's kind of the big category I was working on. And books, of course, I have way too many of those and have to get through reading all of them, hence the reading goal. So the no spend went well for May, but June is already a huge fail. We're halfway through and there's so many failures. So June's update is going to look very different. But for May, I of course had my bills. I spent $216.48 on groceries, $230.25 on my dog, and that was for grooming, medications, and treats. We had the landscaper come out and clean stuff up. That was $80. And that was it. That was everything on my spending list. So I had like no fails. Everything was good. It was a low-key month, but I definitely made up for that in the first 2 weeks of June. As far as stuff that came in, I just had 2 PR books come in, so not a ton of influx. So that was very good on the no spend front. Short update there. The other goal that I generally like to update on is my reading goal and the tracking 200 books. And I read 17 books in May, 3 of which were witchcraft books. And May was a bit of a disappointment when it comes to reading. The witchcraft books were the highlight. And everything else that I read was really low in star ratings. It just was not a good month. June is already much better, so that's good. But May was absolutely a slump. So I have my book here in front of me. Let's go through the stats. Overall stats were 7,116 pages, 7 books and 10 ebooks, no audiobooks. I didn't have any 1-star ratings, but I did have 3 2 stars, 10 3 stars, 4 4 stars, and 0 5 stars. So like I said, not a great month. As far as specific reviews go, let's start with the witchcraft books. So first up was Weather Magic by Deborah L. Burns. And this I gave 3.5 stars. I really love the concept of weather magic, and it's something that I do myself. And there was a lot of that, like actual practical spells and things in this book, but mostly it is an environmental science lesson, which I know because I took a semester of environmental science my freshman year of college. No idea why. It's nothing in any of my majors at any point in my college career had anything to do with having to take that as a class. I have no idea why I picked it, but I remember learning about a lot of this stuff in that class as far as like cloud formations and things. So it is mostly a science lesson. Just be ready for the science in it, which I think is fascinating, and really there is an audience for that. And it is broken up by a lot of like folklore, spells and rituals. There's some crafts in there, things that are pretty simple, so I do think it would appeal to a lot of people. But as far as like coming from a witchcraft perspective, I would want it to have more witchcraft than it did. I understand the need for the science, but I don't know that every witch is going to love the sciencey parts as much, especially when it came at the expense of having more practical witchcraft applications in it. So not exactly what I wanted out of a weather magic book, still informative and had a lot of good information, but not what I was looking for. And I do want a good weather magic book. I just haven't found it yet. And I had 2 other witchcraft books, and they were both 4 stars. The first is the Social Media Spell Book by Amy Blackthorne and Natalie Zaman. And this is not out yet. It was an ARC advanced reader copy, and it comes out on August 20th. So I think that this will appeal to a lot of people. It is one of those like 365 standard like daily spell books. So you get like January 1st, January 2nd, and there's a spell every single day, but they are more media focused. So like the title says, it's definitely social media, and there's things that are about like Instagram or, you know, Facebook, and witchcraft and practical spells and rituals related to those things. They are generally very simple and easy to customize. So I think that will appeal to a lot of people. You don't have to do it exactly how it is on the page, and they will list something that you could use. Like maybe you could use these crystals, and they'll give you a list of 10. So you don't have to have that exact one. You can sort of pick from the list and customize the ingredients that you're going to use to complete that spell or ritual. And then there's a lot of other ideas in there that aren't necessarily focused on social media, but maybe just media and tech in general, like protecting your tech devices, or there's something about like documenting your herb collection and using some sort of online platform or photos or something to document what you have. And I thought those were really helpful as well. So even if you aren't a big social media person, that isn't the entirety of what's in here. There are a lot of other like tech related things that could be useful. It's very beginner friendly, and it also includes a wide range of intentions. So sometimes you get a book that is just protections or just hearth witchcraft. This has sort of everything. It has hearth magic and protections and love spells and self-love and gratitude. There's all kinds of like the whole range of different intentions that you could be using with this. So 365 daily spells and rituals that are very simple, beginner friendly. I think this would appeal to a wide variety of people. So keep your eye out for that in the middle of August if you're interested in that one. And then another one that you will have already heard from on the podcast and will hear from again is Tanae Stewart. She is the Witch of Lupine Hollow, has already been on before, and she has a new book coming out on July 2nd, and that is called Botanical Cocktails. And that was a really fun read, another 4-star. It's exactly what it sounds like. Cocktail recipes using herbs, particularly ones that you have grown yourself in your own garden. Tons of like simple recipes. There's cocktails, but there's mocktail versions as well. So if you don't want the alcohol, you don't have to. And it is very common herbs that are focused in here. So you don't have to be concerned that you're not going to be able to find them. And you can absolutely buy them if you're not able to grow them. But I think this, again, if you are sort of green witch, hearth witch, kitchen witch, like making things, then you will really appreciate this book because it's very simple to follow in terms of the instructions. It's got beautiful pictures. The only reason I didn't give it 5 stars is because I personally want more in the way of witchcraft. There's plenty in there. They're all, you know, themed and witchy themed, but I would just like a little more maybe like spell work associated with it, which is just not the purpose of this particular book. It's already like a good size. So I think that including that stuff would have just made it too bulky. And I enjoyed it for what it is. But I think that most witches would appreciate this because there's something to be found on every page that could be really helpful for your practice. On to my other reads for the month that were disappointing. There's some that I only have a couple of things to say, so we are not just going to gloss over them. First up being the Familiar by Leigh Bardugo. There's a lot of mixed opinions on this one floating out there. I'm a big Leigh Bardugo fan. I like Six of Crows. I liked the Shadow and Bone trilogy. And my personal favorites were Ninth House and Hellbent, which again, those are ones that have varying opinions on there, but those two were my favorite. I love that series. A lot of people did not like that. I did not like The Familiar. It's just, I'm sorry, Lee, but I was so bored throughout the entire thing. It is a sort of vampire Spanish love story, kind of, but more about a witch coming into her power. And I thought that I would like these things and these themes, but I was just so bored the entire time. It never picked up for me. And that is a complaint that I've heard from other people. I won't go too much into that because I think a lot of people have read The Familiar by this point. So let me know in the comments if that is something that you felt the same, or if you really enjoyed it. I would like to know your opinion. The other one that I read that I was excited about, and Familiar, I gave 2 stars. That I was excited about and then let me down was Voyage of the Damned by Frances White. And it is an interesting premise. So I gave it 3 stars. And it's essentially, there is this world, they're surrounded by a wall, so they're safe from, the terrible things that are outside the wall. And they're broken up into provinces, and each little province has a ruler that has powers, and only the ruler of that province has the powers, and they are passed down to their descendants. So that is the only way they can be in power. And there are, of course, ones that are more affluent than other provinces. So we are following one of the poorer provinces, his point of view. He has not inherited his magic from his dad like he thought he would. He has no magic, no powers whatsoever. But with the other heirs, they are going on a trip because it is time for the head to come into her power, and they have to venture to their sacred mountain via a boat. But it is a locked door murder mystery because there's only the heirs of the provinces that are on this boat. And of course, somebody dies right away. And there are more murders along the way. And I think it was billed as an adult fantasy mystery. It reads so young. I don't know why that was, but it just felt so much younger than the audience that it was intended for. And I felt like so little happened in so many pages. It was 464 pages, and that just felt like too much because I don't think anything really happened until like towards the end. So not my favorite. And if you have read this, then I'm not going to give away any spoilers, but I want to say justice for Grasshopper and Dumpling. Those are the 2 best characters, and I want an entire series of just them. That's it. Justice for those 2. That's all I have to say on that one. The other ones that I'm not going to cover too much are A Promise of Peridot and A Reign of Rose by Kate Golden. Those are the 2nd and 3rd in the series Dawn of Onyx. First book was okay. Second book I gave 2.5 stars, and then the 3rd book I gave 3 stars. And this is typical fae fantasy romance. You kind of know exactly what you're getting into, but I felt the plot dragged a lot in these. There was a little bit better character development in both of them than there was in the first book, but there's not a lot of world building. I feel like not a lot happens in however many pages. In the second one, there was a really annoying love triangle because it's too late. It makes no sense because already in the first book, you know who the main character is supposed to end up with. They have like a fated prophecy or whatever. So like, why is there a random love triangle thrown in the second book? It makes no sense. So that was annoying. Second book was definitely smuttier, but other than that, nothing else happened. And third book was like, plot pacing was off, but I was just happy to be done with it and finish it and see what happened. So not a total win on that series for me. It was like a pretty much straight 2.5, 3 stars across the board. Sorry, I know a lot of people do enjoy that series, but that was not for me. Along with A Shadow Crown by Melissa Blair, which is the second to A Broken Blade. And I had reviewed that before. I don't even think I'm going to read the 3rd one in this one. I am just not a fan. This was another 2.5 stars and got the same, like exact same review from me as the Kate Golden books did. That there's just, I don't know, second book syndrome where there's more world building, but it's just like so slow plot wise that I think all of these like maybe would be better as just a duology, and you could cut out a lot of the unnecessary plot points or things that you're dragging on to make it so long. Like maybe we should just go back to duologies. I know everybody's about the trilogies now, but maybe just 2 would have sufficed and not made these second books so boring. I did 2 YA dystopias that were on Kindle Unlimited, both by K.A. Riley, Broken and The Amnesty Games. They're in 2 separate series. K.A. Riley has a ton of these YA dystopia thriller type stories on Kindle Unlimited, and these were 3 stars, both of them just middle of the road. They were fine. The Amnesty Games was very like Hunger Games, Maze Runner-ish, so like had a lot of potential there because I like those, but it was like slow to start, boring, like not great characters, so not either of them are things that I want to continue in the series, unfortunately. And more to come on that idea of DNFing and not finishing series, maybe in the next video, because it's gonna be too long to include in this one. The other one that I finished that I'm going to mention and not at all recommend is Restless Stars, and that is part of that Zodiac Academy that's on Kindle Unlimited by Caroline Peckham and Susan Valenti, and I'm just happy to be done with it. It's like the 9th book. They're all like 1,000 pages, and I don't know why I even started reading this years ago, but that was like the final one, and I was like, I just need to be done with it. It's 1,153 pages, and I'm so glad to just be done with it, but don't read it. If you've never gotten into it, do not. My only 4-star fiction read of the month came next, and that was Warcross by Marie Lu. And I have decided I'm a Marie Lu fan, so I am waiting on Legend from the library right now because everyone says that's like her better series or like more popular series. So that is next up on my reading list, but I liked Warcross, and this is older. It's from 2017, so not a lot to go into about that. I'm sure you've heard of it by now. I was late to the game on this one, but this was like a solid YA dystopia, which is always what I'm looking for. That's like my favorite. So I had a particularly good time with that one. I do recommend. 2.5 stars to The Chase by Elle Kennedy, and that is your standard hockey romance that is again on Kindle Unlimited. It's just it's like sometimes I'm in the mood for those, but like mostly I'm determining it's not my genre. And I also read The Risk, which is like the same, series. She's got a bunch of series that they like kind of all tie into each other, and that was like the first and second and like one of them. So again, same. I don't really have a lot to say about the hockey romances. Read The Kill Order by James Dashner, 3 stars. This is in the Maze Runner world. It's like a prequel. Not as good, but I felt like I wanted to read it to like finish off the series. And the last 2 are 2 nonfiction, and they are both by Kate Flanders. I read The Year of Less and Adventures in Opting Out, and I remember reading these like a long time ago because I used to follow Kate had a blog about finances, and I used to follow that, and I remember reading her books when they came out, and I remember liking The Year of Less a lot more than I did this time around. This time I only gave it 3 stars, and I thought it would be good to reread because I am doing a no spend year, and that's what her book is about a total shopping ban for a year and the things that she learned along the way. But I just did not love it as much this time around. And Adventures in Opting Out, I only gave 2 stars because I liked that even less, and that was about the year after the shopping ban, where she really sort of kept up with the shopping ban and also like traveled around, and her experiences of like not really having a home base and instead traveling to Europe kind of like without a plan, and the things that she learned from that. And I just did not love that one. I think because of the way it's written, it's like the wild of like hiking metaphors and stuff. And there's, after wild, I think there were just like so many books about using hiking as a metaphor for everything, and I just kind of over that. And they are older. The Year of Less came out in 2018, and Adventures in Opting Out came out in 2020. So they are older books and like just like revisits for me, but I definitely like them a lot less than the first time around when I read them, unfortunately. So those were all of my books, not too successful on that front, but other than just making progress on getting some reading done. As far as my plans for going into June and July is to first of all clear my NetGalley. I think I only have 1 or 2 left on there where I have to read and review, and then to stop requesting because I needed a NetGalley break, and to also work on my library holds, make sure that's all cleared out, and then focus on my Kindle Unlimited. So I do Kindle Unlimited for like a couple of months at a time, because once you cancel for a few months, like 3 months or so, Amazon will give you some sort of incentive to come back. And this last time that I did it, I had it canceled, I think since January or February, and then they gave me like another 3 months free, and that free 3 months expires on August 12th. So I really need to clear out what I have on there as far as like what I want to read. Because there are things that like I'm not interested in anymore, I need to just delete them. Things that I want to prioritize to read them before August 12th. And then if there's anything that like I'm like, oh, maybe I'll read it in the future, I need to save it to a different list, because in case you didn't know this, if you cancel your Kindle Unlimited subscription, Amazon will delete whatever you have on borrowed or like on your list. So don't use it as a place to store what you want to read, because they will go and delete that and then you won't remember what was on there. So I need to save those to a separate list, like my want to read list on Goodreads, or to just save it on an Amazon wish list so I can come back to those later in the year when I come back to Kindle Unlimited, because I don't want to keep it going after August. First of all, I just don't want to pay for it. It's $12 a month and I like it better when I get it for free for 3 months and then cancel and then free for another 3 months. So I would rather go that route. And also I need to prioritize what is on my physical TBR, because that was another one of my goals for this year, was to read if there's anything that I haven't read yet on my physical TBR that I actually own, and to reread everything that I have. And the last thing that I have to reread is the Throne of Glass series. That's the only one in the Sarah J. Maas world that I have not reread yet. So I want to get to that one, which is very long books. So that's a priority. And then I have a couple of other physical books that I want to read that are both priorities, or all priorities as well. So I want to do that, but I have to focus on the Kindle Unlimited first. So that brings me to my mid-year freakout. And I will tell you right now that you are going to probably get a bunch of videos from me this week, maybe at least 2, maybe 3, all in a row, because I posted a couple of videos ago about the quiz from Harley Jordan, talking about like what kind of pretty you are. And it has nothing to do with how you look. There's cat pretty, deer pretty, bunny pretty, and fox pretty. And it's all about how you show up in your like work life and how you feel like most productive and fulfilled, like productive in a good way. Not that you're like, burning out or whatever, but some people's work styles are just different. And it's not just about like online content creation, even though that's what Harley Jordan does. It's just about your work life, whatever that is in general, even if that's just showing up to how you do things around your house and get your house cleaned. Everybody's personalities are going to be a little bit different. And I said in that video that I am cat pretty. I thought I was fox pretty, and fox is where you are very like organized and detailed, and you have a schedule and you follow it. It's like the Monica's of the world. And I thought that that was me, but I took the quiz and I cat, and reading it, cat is much more my personality. And cats do what they want when they want, so they don't respond that well to a schedule. And that is sort of how I feel. That like I put on the schedule, and then when it comes time to do it, I don't want to do it. I don't feel like doing it anymore. So she recommends that cats just do what they want, like when they feel like it. And that was this video. I almost wasn't going to record it, but I wanted to do the May recap, even if it was going to be late. I didn't care, wanted to do it. And then I have these videos that I want to do for freaking out for the mid-year, and I don't care that they're all going to be right in a row. Could I space them out for the next 4 weeks and not skip a month of content like I did in May? Sure, I could do that. Am I going to? No. I am going to line them all up in a row. Prepare to see a lot of my face this week. I am at that point that normally comes up for me at this time, mid to late June. That is the mid-year freakout, where I feel like I have not done enough on my goals that I set in January. This always comes up for me because in my real life, my day job is busier in the summer. I know a lot of people have like vacations now and they aren't as busy in the summer. Real estate doesn't work that way, because a lot of people are buying and selling in the summer months, especially in residential real estate, because they want to get their kids settled into a new school district before school starts at the end of August. So I get that. Very busy season. Leaves me not a lot of time to work on other stuff, like the stuff that I want to do around the house or personal goals and things. And then I freak out that I'm not getting as much done, even though logically I know that I get a ton of stuff done November, December, January, February, March. Those are my months to check everything off my list. And I know that I do it. Emotionally, I hate seeing stuff not checked off my list. So I go through like the just mid-January mid-June freak out where I want to change up all my goals. And it actually works out because I like the goal setting process and I like new things on the list and the turnover and working on things more than I actually like completing the goal. It's like the process of getting there, I guess. And I enjoy doing it mid-year because it gives me a chance to check in on things, tweak things. I've learned a lot in the last 6 months. My life is not the same as it was in January when I was setting those goals. And I've been able to like better define like some of the ones like either that I want to get rid of or the ones that I want to keep, but I have a better sense of where it needs to go in the next 6 months. So that is going to be the next video because if I try to cram it into this, it's just too long and I don't want to edit it. So I'm going to do that in a separate video. I think I'm going to film that on Tuesday. Fingers crossed. Best laid plans. So that will come about my panic and resetting all of my goals, adding more goals because that seems like a good idea when you're already too busy to do the ones that are on your list. Let's add more. And I'm like looking over here at the pile. I'm also going to do a very ruthless declutter. I did a declutter of all of my witchcraft items. I reset my desk and my bookshelf. I did those on a video in December. It was either Vlogtober or Vlogmas. I did that. And yet here I am like looking at stuff and I'm like, it's gotta go. There are things that I'm looking at, it's overwhelming and my practice has changed and it has to go and it has to reflect what I want. So that is gonna be a video. I'm also gonna do a flip through of, I made a new grimoire, isn't she cute? So I'm gonna do a flip through of everything that's in there. And I am gonna chat a little bit about potentially restocking, which is wild to think about. I'm not buying anything and I am going to declutter a whole stack of stuff that's over there. And then I'm gonna talk about restocking. Not restocking yet, but I'm gonna get a list together of like, what am I actually doing in my practice? What am I using? Have I even used anything? And if I'm getting rid of stuff, like don't put it on the list to restock, Stephanie, that's stupid. So that is gonna be in another video. And then maybe I'm gonna talk about Letha. I don't know. We're gonna see how that goes. That's at the end of the week. And that feels like 2026 at this point because we're taking it day by day. So that's it. That's it for now. That's my chaos. And be prepared to see me some more this week. And I will see you, I'm hoping on Tuesday, fingers crossed, but otherwise later this week.